There you are.
Good evening, folks. Good evening, Spreckels Union Community. We're having our Board of Trustees meeting for the month of April in person for the first time in, I guess, over a year, 13 months or so. And we're going to start off with closed session, and we'll come back out and start live again when we're done with closed session in about a half hour from now. The packet, although it's not going to be embedded with the live stream, you should be able to find a link to the board packet right there with the link for this live stream, but you can also access it from the district website. But we'll come back live in about a half hour after we're done with closed session. See you then. Thank you. Okay, we're going to call to order. And get a motion to go into closed session, please. So moved.
Second?
Sure, that's great. And do we still need to do roll call votes? Yes! We only need to hear you chime in unison, unless you object, of course. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-1. We're in closed session and we'll be back. Good evening, community, Spreckels Union Committee. I'm Steve McDougall, President of the Board, and the rest of the board members are here. And we are meeting in person for the first time in, I believe, 13 months, if my math checks out. And we are live streaming this meeting tonight. The live stream will be focused on the board members, the board business, board debate, etc. If you want to follow along in the board packet, there's a link to the packet in the live stream as well as on the district website. Thank you for joining us. We're really excited to be meeting in person for the first time in far too long. Thank you and enjoy the meeting. Okay. Need a motion to reconvene in open session, please.
So moved.
Can I second?
You please.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? The motion carries 4-0-1. It's time for Pledge of Allegiance. Like over there. Couple of them. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adoption of agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion carries 4-0-1. Announcement of action taken in closed session. The board gave direction to the district, to staff regarding negotiations with STA. Recognition. Do we have any recognition?
That's it.
Okay. I recognize you nonetheless.
Thank you.
Everyone. All right. Do we have any individuals desiring to address the board tonight? Okay. And do we have anyone from STA tonight? Anyone? No? Anyone from CSEA?
Not making a statement. Oh, I'm not making a statement. No,
Okay.
sorry.
Board member comments. I'll start way down there, out in the street with Michael.
No comment, thank you.
Okay. Stephanie?
No comment, thank you.
Jen?
Just hope everybody's having a good spring break.
Right. And I just want to say, in case you didn't hear, we're going to reopen next week. And hope to see some of you then. I plan on being out in front, socially distanced with the superintendent next Friday morning. Next Friday, right?
Yep.
Okay.
The night.
Maybe we'll see some of you then. Thank you. Oral and written communications, I don't have any.
Yes, you do.
I stand corrected, yes, I do.
From the county office regarding the AB 12.
Oh, okay. I thought this was for the board packet. All right.
No, it's under
We
correspondence.
do have communications from the County Office of Education, green lighting or agreements with both STA and CSEA that they are in accordance with AB 1200, meaning, folks that don't know what that means, that we can afford what we're going to compensate them for the work they're going to provide, both groups. Thank you. Reports. Superintendent.
Just short and sweet. It's wonderful seeing people live. And gosh, got a little misty-eyed coming in here. I can't imagine what next Friday is going to be like. To see kids is going to be wonderful to remind us of why we do what we do. I'm happy to report that any staff member who wants to be vaccinated probably will have opportunity for 2 shots. I had my second yesterday, as I told you, and I feel great. So hopefully the bad side effects or effects won't happen to you. Other than that, it was happy Easter and looking forward to get back to work, or in a different way, in person.
All right, thank you. Buena Vista Middle School.
All right. Like Eric said, super excited to come back. I'm so ready to see kids' faces and on campus. And so we're doing our soft openings next week. 6th grade is on the 6th, 7th on the 7th, and 8th on the 8th. And then on the 9th, everybody comes back. We still have our online kids, and then our AM group will come in the morning at 8:15, and our PM group will come in at 12:15. Really looking forward to it. All the kids got their trimester 2 report cards, and they recently just got their schedule for trimester 3, so it will look very different. So yeah, lots of change coming our way, and trimester 3 is going to be a whole new ballpark that we're all ready for. So.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Thank you. That's enough.
Yeah, I think so. That's a lot of change.
I do not disagree. Spreckels Elementary.
said already, and yeah, the big deal is that students are going to be on campus, and that's what we've been hoping for a long time, and working towards, working really hard. Everybody it takes a village, and we've been working hard together. So I can't wait till it happens. We are also we were calling it meet and greets, but soft openings next week. Grade levels are mishmashed on different days, and looking forward to the kiddos coming back in person on the 9th. Ready to go.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone representing SUEF tonight? How about PTO? Bobcat Club. Moving on, business information, fund balance reports.
Okay, so this is activity through March, and that represents 75% of the year, which means there's 25% of the year left, which is pretty shocking, actually. But our revenues are trending nicely. We've brought in $6.1 million. We've spent $5.8 million. So at this point, we are in the surplus of $256,000, and we will be entering those months, April, May, and June, where the revenue limit will be deferred to the future months. But as we've said many times, we're going into that period with a very nice reserve balance, ending fund balance, if you will, of a little over $5 million. So I believe we're going to make it through these deferrals, and then hopefully with the May revise, some of that action ends in the coming budget year, 21-22.
Okay, anything else?
As usual, if you ever want to dive deeper into it, reach out. We'll talk about it.
The invitation's always there.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Facilities update, including potty talk for Spreckels Elementary School.
So regarding the facilities, just in general, you walked in this door, you might not be able to tell, but it's just amazing what's happened in the last year at both of our sites between our facilities team, our custodial team, and we think that we're ready to bring kids back safely. We've really invested a lot of resources in making things safe, including our temperature taker that identifies aliens as well as taking temperatures. So apparently there's 2 in the room, y'all. Oh, there's 3. Okay. So yeah, this is the first night we've gone live with it, so we've got some glitches to work out, but there will be one of those at each, one for Buena Vista and the DO as well. And we'll be requiring all members of the public to use those, or requesting that. It's not for staff or students, just for the public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So on the...
And aliens.
And aliens, yes. So on, let's see, what happened to board packet? That's weird. Oh, I just closed it.
I thought I just saw it.
You did, I had jumped to LCAP. Let me pull back up.
It's okay.
Yeah, this is going to be...
We're sailing along.
So regarding the toilet rooms, the facilities committee met a week or 2 ago, and we looked at the 3 options that the architect has put forward, considering primarily, Teresa, the request that you had made to locate the toilet room possibly by the 4 or 5 classrooms, the quad as it's locally called. And so she presented 3 options. The facilities committee considered them, and after the discussion decided that option B, which is the existing location, made the most sense. Primarily because option A, which would be moving it over there, created a concern for traffic flow. I'm trying to pull that up just so you can see it. So, Teresa, can you see specifically, this would be the walkway and the doors, which we typically keep open during the day. And then there's that concrete wall right there. It just, something would have to move. And so we went to the architect, I went back to the architect and said to build the budget based on where it currently sits. It just makes the most sense based on our site. So that information will be coming back to the committee next. We'll probably try to meet with you before the May meeting, because as we have talked about in the beginning, since the beginning of this, we really want to try to have this done by the time school starts. Though tomorrow, our fancy portable toilet will be delivered, so at least we'll be able to get to the next 10 weeks and have enough restrooms to create a socially distanced sort of environment as kids are coming in and out of the restroom.
To be clear, when school starts next school year.
Yeah.
When school starts next school year, we'd like this replacement.
Project is done.
When school starts next Thursday, we have a portable
Right.
luxury model coming in with,
Cool.
yeah, porcelain fixtures and
Yeah.
fresh
Well, I'm really expecting a new permanent bathroom facility on the night.
No. No. But we wanted to just update with the whole board that we looked at the different options. We all agreed that the current location made the most sense. And the next step will be bringing you back a cost analysis so we can start refining the details.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you. Jenna, I know you're on the committee, but do any board members, including Jenna, have questions about this project? You have complete faith in the facilities committee?
And we didn't want to move it farther away from there. I
Right.
think it's nice that it's, trying to get it as close to those 4 feet bottom as we could.
Yeah.
That's right, that was option C. She did give us a third option as well, to put it over by the garden, and that just didn't make sense.
No,
So,
they trust us with toilets.
Yeah.
We have the board members' confidence that we can handle bathrooms.
If I may, just to hopefully alleviate any concern you have, my main reason was I was concerned about pushing into the basketball courts, which are used very often by the kiddos, and I didn't want them. And I know we had some young ladies last year request that it wasn't so close to everybody outside. And so the custodians actually chopped it out for me, and so that we could tell once the ramps were gone. So I'm very pleased, respect your decision anyway, but very pleased with the outcome. We still have plenty of room in it.
So the
It's in a
footprint's
good
not
spot.
going to change?
Yeah, correct. It's in a good spot.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? That's it? No more potty talk?
okay.
All right, school reopening update. There's a rumor we're reopening.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's going well. Just want to provide some data. So the numbers are in, and 78% of our students will be returning in the hybrid.
78.
78 and then 22 would stay online, which was always their option, at least for this year. A little bit skewed towards, I think Teresa's more in the 80s, a little higher, which seems to be the county and the state trend. The older they get, the more they like their pajamas, I guess. So. As both principals said, we're going to start with soft opening. I think 2 grades a day at Spreckels. What's going to be fun is that we're going to be taking first day pictures in April, but they're still going to get them, which is huge. Which I think every kid wants to see their whatever grade level picture up. And so thank you guys for working with Live Touch to do that, even in April. I also want to thank the principals and our transportation department. They all made instructional videos that kind of lay out. A lot of work went into them. A lot of video. Shout out to Ryan and Travis. But basically, where the kids line up, all the different protocols, the bus specifically show them where they would first, how they would get their temperature read, where they would go, where they would sit, what windows would be open. So again, a lot of times that visual is more impactful than just telling them. So hopefully they've all seen that by the time you meet with them next week. But thank you, that took a lot of time. And I just want to really shout out to the principals because the planning was really hard. But now implementation is probably even harder, and that's really where those people take over. And you're doing a great job, and thank you, because it's hard, and your work's recognized. Other than that, we're just excited. Kids are back, and we're, as Ronka said, we are very, very confident that they're going to come back and it's going to be safe, and we have everything in place. So let's make it happen.
All right. Anyone have any questions? Reopen?
I do.
What?
Do we have any students coming back that were not technically in our district for this year, and now they're coming back to be in our district, like re-registering?
So if you meet, they started this year with us, they left for whatever reason, a lot of them went to homeschool. We did send them all like a welcome back email. Only a few for this year are coming back.
Okay.
The majority are coming back next year.
Okay.
We only lost a few. If that's the
Yeah,
question.
that's exciting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. LCAP update.
Yeah, even during pandemics, the LCAP continues. And we kicked off that process a couple Mondays ago. And there's quite a few people on that committee here. Tonight, I just wanted to kind of share the overview of the process and kind of bring up to speed where we are and where we're going. And hopefully, by the end of the presentation, kind of get a, not action, but just kind of like, yeah, keep going with those goals. Hard to believe, the LCAP's now in its 8th year. In 2013, then Governor Brown introduced this new funding model and accountability model based on a base grant, but then supplemental and concentration funds based on your demographic. He was very clear that he thought certain subgroups needed more resources. So they're called unduplicated students, and depending on how many you have at a school, you get additional money. So every school gets a base grant, and then you have X amount of English learners, foster youth, and low income, you get additional money called supplemental. And if you have more than 50% of those subgroups, you get additional money. That's how it's funded. And the change is that it works hand in hand with the budget. So in June, we'll be building this year, and then, well, we're going to propose late May for the first one, and then June to approve. There's a 2 meeting process for that. The definition of the LCAP, straight from the CDE, is it's a 3-year plan that describes goals, actions, services, and expenditures to support positive student outcomes that address the 8 state and local priorities. It's basically the story of the district. It's what's important, what you expect your students to do, what you know, as a district to prioritize, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to pay for it. That's kind of like the Cliff Note version of it. And so, again, it's the 8th year. We think we know what we're doing now. We started with, what was it 7? Or we started with a number of goals that really was hard to focus on. We combined them to 5, and we're presenting 3 this year. And again, all 8 state priorities will be addressed, but we could do it in 3 goals. So that's kind of what, oh, perfect. That's the plan. This year is kind of a little bit different. Not surprised, it's different every single way, and why not the LCAP? So this year, this LCAP is going to serve as a bridge, because what happened in 1920, when the pandemic hit, the LCAP process just kind of like stopped, it was postponed. And obviously we pivoted to distance learning. And so we never had a chance to do what's called the annual update, which is looking at those 1920 goals, and you know, well, a lot of it we couldn't measure because state testing was suspended that year. So this year's process is going to take the 1920 LCAP, look at the annual update. It's going to also have what's the learning continuity and attendance plan, which was that other document, LCAP 2.0 we talked about last year. Talk about how we did there. So we're going to have 2 years of outcomes, or looking at the metrics, and then that's going to bridge us to the LCAP moving on for the next 3 years. It's a 3-year plan, so it'll be from 21 through 24. And again, you'll get updates at every meeting, and then in late May and June, we'll bring you, you know, hopefully an approvable plan. Stakeholder engagement is a big first step. We kick that off on the 22nd. This is right out of the template we use, and I showed this to the committee because it's a really important committee, because we have to capture, you know, when we met, and you know, all the different groups that are represented, then what the suggestions were, and then most importantly, where you could find those suggestions integrated into your plan. So again, stakeholder engagement, that's the first step. We, as a group, we have, I don't know, 15 or 20 very well represented. We started a Google Doc, which is great. Kelly was using this years ago, but I'm just starting to implement it a little bit more. But basically allows all of the community to kind of take a look and add suggestions as we go. And so we'll be doing that electronically, meeting, look at our suggestions, and going from there. Tonight, I just wanted to propose kind of changing the goals a little bit. Nothing. We had 5 goals, and they focused on intervention and dealing with struggling students. Talk about enrichment, specifically what we're doing with our English learners, what we're teaching, Common Core standards, and then parent and community involvement. And those 5, all 5 are good, and they touched all 8 state priorities. But the recommendation this year is to take those 5 and merge them into 3 that really, I think, allow us to focus a little bit more in a laser-like way, and also do everything we're supposed to do. So the first proposed goal is for any struggling student, and this is where we're kind of bridge it from the pandemic forward. So whether it's an unduplicated student, so we can use those funds in our LCAP, students that we identify as experienced learning loss or trauma from COVID or other reasons, we will provide them with the support to be successful, and we'll measure that in many ways. So this goal will allow us to do it with English learner reclassification, test results when they're available again, grade point average, some other local assessments. So that's the first goal proposed. Very similar to our old goal, which talked about kids being at standard, but now we'll measure success in different ways. Second one, we took some very key words from our new vision and mission statement, specifically diversity, equity, and innovation, and kind of put that into a goal that supports both staff and students. So it reads, all students and staff will be provided diverse, equitable, and innovative opportunities, both academic and enrichment, to reach their full potential. Some things you might see there is equity training for all staff, continued work with the equity committee. As far as innovation, at some point we might want to look at a virtual academy if we realize that if we don't capture those kids that way, we're going to lose them. So we will probably have that discussion. Other innovative programs today at our management meeting, Kate brought up STEM or STEAM programs that are becoming very popular. So maybe we could include that in the LCAP. Ways to keep the kids we have, but also recruit, keep our enrollment where it should be. And then the last one just addresses the state standards implementation priority. So those are the goals that are proposed. There's no action on this, but now would be the time we're going to discuss it and kind of give us like direction to swerve, because we're going to be, as a committee, building services and actions based on these goals to add dollars to bring to you. So we're going to kind of make some moves. Now's the time to start talking about that. Any questions?
Board members, any questions on LCAP?
Stephanie's our representative, so thank you.
Yes, so as a part of the.
That was one of the reasons we recruited, right? You started at LCAP and then certain other committees, and then, hey, be careful what committee you're on, because it's how you end up in a socially distanced board seat. So we'll run with those goals, and we'll bring an update next month.
All right.
Sounds good.
Off to the races on that. Reopening school-related funding summary, and there are many buckets. And this is kind of cool, if you were able to look at this. This template really kind of helps sort it out, so that's cool.
Well, thank you. It started off being 6 pages long, and I kept.
Thank you for whittling it down.
Yeah, I mean, every page is very interesting to me, but realize that's not going to be helpful. We just need big picture at this point, so you can see, and it's substantial. I mean, it's really great news in terms of the total across the board. It's over $1.5 million over a 3-year period. And what is nice when you start to see it in this format, you can look at those timelines of each one and then talk about using all of the money over a 3-year period, aligning to the LCAP, because it's on the same time frame. And that's going to be really helpful. Although the base program won't end in 3 years, and that needs to be clearly funded by those ongoing dollars that come under our LCFF funding. So this was just the beginning of putting it on paper so we could get some sense of it. Some of the apportionments aren't even announced yet. The guidelines aren't even announced yet because it's all kind of happening so quickly. But come Monday, we will qualify for the in-person grant, and that's $276. And we've actually started spending some of that money. That's how we're paying for the toilet rental. We've talked about bringing in some long-term subs through the end of the year. We'll pay for that out of this bucket of money. And we'll just keep looking into it and identifying program that can be supported. Hopefully, not a lot of staff will be on this piece because, again, it ends at some point, and the staffing augmentation that we make needs to have a long-term funding stream. That won't be completely possible because some of our programs will be short-term staffs and we will tie them to these categoricals, but we've got some decisions to make about some substantial money to spend and invest and do it well.
Good problem.
New type of problem.
It's, yeah.
CEO.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Anything else? Veronica, do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Board members, any questions about the buckets of money that are coming over the next couple of years?
I do have a question. So you mentioned that we'd be having some discussions and planning for when those funds will be spent, and I'm wondering what is kind of the timeframe? I see in here, obviously we have the deadline for spending them, which is quite a ways out, and the deadline for application. So when would we start thinking about planning to use some of those funds? Because certainly that takes time, right?
Absolutely.
The planning
Yes.
before the implementation. I know, it was already discussed a little bit with the LCAP, but this consideration of learning loss that may have occurred over the last year, and so thinking about how we may want to be addressing that in the more near future.
Well, the majority of the funds actually expire next August of 2022. So they have to be part of our budget development, which will be part of the LCAP plan. And that's between the in-person, which that 274 just for returning to in-person, a lot of that is being spent now on facility types things, not nearly the 274,000, but let's peel 50,000 off just for not program, but more site-related enhancements to reopen. But that still leaves $6, $7, $8, almost $800,000. That is a huge amount of money to spend in 15 months. That definitely will be programmed. And sharing this tonight was the first step of that. Getting some sense that the 3 goals are the direction the board will support. We'll then go back to the LCAP committee and we'll start getting those actions within the goals and putting funding sources and dollar amounts. For example, are we going to hire, right now we have 1 FTE of a intervention teacher split between 2 sites. Maybe that becomes 2 FTE at each site. I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe it's tutoring programs. I don't know.
As far as timeline,
Summer school.
we have this,
Summer school.
we have this ambition. So because you come to LCAP, we know we're going to try to get rid of learning loss in summer school and talk about like an overarching bridging program that will have different phases. Our goal, because second, the blue category money really deals with that. Our goal is to bring you back a draft of that June 1st document in early May. So in our next LCAP meeting, that's where we're just going to brainstorm different ideas. One idea would be to phase in, identify kids by need as the most in need, first phase, second phase, third phase, and then we'd start something this spring, perhaps tutoring or an after-school program, move it into early summer, and then perhaps have an early fall program. And then it would extend it for 3 years. So the way I look at the bridging program is really many phased programs under an umbrella. Does that make sense? That will really have a chance in May, because Veronica kind of, can we pull this out by May, early May? If not, we're going to propose a late May board meeting for other purposes, just in case, to have a backup plan.
And that blue column of money, which is the biggest bucket for the expanded learning opportunity grant, the $580,000, that's the biggest bucket of all the monies. And it requires a board-adopted plan by June 1st. So
The template came out for that like literally last week.
Friday.
Unfortunately, it's going to align nicely with LCAP 01.
yeah, we've had it since last Friday. And luckily, there's 5 weeks between tonight and the next board meeting. It's the one time of year that we get with the
Bonus
first
week.
day of the month
Yep.
board meeting, and yeah, so that's going to be helpful. But I think that we've got to take it back to the LCAP committee. We've got to start refining those actions.
That was the same pep talk I got earlier. We have 5 weeks. I go, okay, 5 weeks. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And I don't mean to, make it sound like a
horse is out of the, before we open the gate. I'm very excited because the opportunity here, I think, is just really exceptional, especially understanding that there's so much need. And so I think considering that, and yeah, you're right, the bridge program, we did talk about that. I didn't want to use that language, I didn't want people to think that that was mine.
You
So
know, to
I
be honest,
didn't want to take
Chris
credit for
explained
it.
it for me, yeah.
I didn't want to take credit, but
Chris.
yes, definitely, that language is wonderful. As I was reading through the documents, I saw some of the potential for use of those funds, such as mental health services. So, I think there's just such a tremendous opportunity, and I think, certainly our communities are really interested in seeing what we do with that funding, because there is a lot of promotion about schools getting these large amounts of funding, and so wanting to make sure that we are moving forward. And not to say that you aren't, but I'm not a part of that as much other than here.
No,
so I'm
it's a
excited
great
to
question.
hear
We do need to start thinking about it, because 5 weeks is still pretty soon.
Yes, and planning, like I said, planning and implementation, right, always takes a lot of time, so.
Great.
I'd like to add to that too. If I could just throw in a few things, because I know that this last year, students have missed out on a lot of programs and opportunities. Just from what I remember, my girls being at Spreckels, they went to that gold rush thing. There was no science camp. These are just things I'm thinking off the top of my head of what the kids do. And so if we could identify, I don't know if it's like this is included, if we could identify all those things that they miss and somehow find programs that we could now spend the money on and do, because it's in person, they need that. And I know that people are ready to come to schools and really make up for that learning loss, because kids learn best in person, like they learn best hands-on when they're actively learning. And so I know that there's certain big companies like Disney and all those other ones that have amazing programs that can supplement or that our kids will love.
And they're popping up. So today I read that Farm Day, which all third graders get to go to, was canceled last year. So this year they're doing a 2-day third and fourth grade. So they're going to capture those kids. So we just need to keep our eyes out for.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, 5 weeks is for the plan. 5 weeks isn't to start, having the person hired or the program start. It's the planning.
And some of these identification of kids and some of the support's already happening. And we talked about that today. And principals could probably share more, but intervention's happening already. And I met with our primary home on Friday, talked about expanding services. I kind of disagreed. I said, look, over the summer we want to take months off. These kids need, if anything, they need to meet more during the summer. And so we have those in place. And I said next year we need to expand to 2 counselors, knowing that money is there. So those conversations already started.
And I don't know this with certainty, but I would hope that as with many of the plans we bring before you, as the plan changes for some reason, like when we brought LCAT to you last September, I think it was, we had a very specific plan in place which included hiring intervention teachers. Well, the timeline to actually hire staff, place them in the class, there was about a month difference. So there was money not spent on that we then subsequently, through negotiations and through reopening, came back and said, let's spend this on professional development for the teachers getting ready for reopening. So we moved things around, and we actually reached out to the county asking, do we have to resubmit the plan and have a public hearing because we're spending things different? And the answer to that was no. It just needed to be communicated with the board in public, and the changes made through budget revisions. So we're following all those guidelines, but we don't have to come back and hold that public hearing again. So it's a plan, and once we start to try to actually implement it, there may be changes. I would hope the first change is that they extend that deadline, because August of 2022 is just, you're not making mindful decisions when you're, long term. How can you plan for long term when you have 15 months to spend $750,000? That is a lot of money.
District our size,
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So,
Anything else? Michael, anything?
No, thank you.
So one clarification. So maybe as a clarification, would you say that maybe we shouldn't expect too much to happen in the next, how many weeks are it, 9 weeks? To see spending
doing the in-person, the returning to in-person, because there are operational things that are valid to be spent with that, and the only requirement is submitting the CSP, which we met that requirement already, it was posted. We actually only had one comment in the whole 8-day period, which was asking us for the names of our schools, which I thought was pretty sad that they couldn't figure that out, and I said Spreckels Union School District, but whatever, that was the only thing. So we met that one. The second one, I think that there might be a possibility that some of those funds will be spent, but I don't know exactly what that would look like at this.
I personally would identify that first phase of kids, I assume, in the next couple weeks.
And we've talked about that need for doing some kind of an assessment, because otherwise, what is the measurement?
And that's another parallel conversation about testing. There's the state's given them some flexibility in picking the assessment, although you have to meet certain criteria. So we're thinking about perhaps doing the SBAC interim, which is a shorter version, quicker version, just to get that data quickly identified. So yeah, I would like to identify those kids and get, whether it's tutoring or after-school programs, before the year's out, or at least first part of summer. And as far as the social emotional, our conversation Friday is like, don't turn away referrals. You know, bring it on and expect and ask the people to go into the summer. So that's our job.
All set? Everybody? Okay.
Good conversation.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
ESSER 2 assurance.
This is just the legal requirement to receive the ESSER 2 funds, which come from the federal government. This was actually the one passed back in December. The prior administration came out with late December bit of money. So it's just confirmation that we will spend the dollars as no supplanting, so on and so forth. Information only.
Okay. We're good there, everybody? Okay. Moving on to class configuration for next school year.
This was a handout that I placed on your tables, and this is just version 1 that was put together as of yesterday's numbers. And if you turn the page over, you'll see that we're actually, our enrollment is down compared to where we currently were this time last year, which is totally understandable. But after getting this reported and sitting down with Jennifer, our registrar, Eric identified a total of 27 of the 52 inter-districts on the waiting list that had met all the criteria and that will be accepted into the district. So just today, we went from 81, we added 27. So we're just about, math in our head, 881 plus
I'll teach math.
27. A little over 900. We're growing.
Okay.
So this is just version 1. It's nothing to get in a panic about yet, but it becomes our base as we plan for our classes next year.
Right, and we still don't know what Sacramento's going to do regarding, hold harmless or not, like the current year. We'll see.
We hope there's something, because if we have to ever use this year for our ADA, there will be a significant drop in our programming. Significant.
Yep. As for every district.
As per every district, for sure. And the other thing we don't know is what will be the requirements for spacing. At 6 feet, we can't have all of these kids and do all-day school.
Yeah.
But at 3 feet, we think we can. But there will be some investment if that happens, because now we'll be no more round tables, more individual desks.
Although I think it is possible that parents maybe did some of their stuff back there.
No, we've actually had a pretty good response to
There might
the
be a
intent
couple.
returns.
Are they in this room or something? You know?
They meant to.
Jennifer said the percentage that had responded, it was pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only 2/3. As of last week, like 400 out of 700 kids.
There might be just a few though that are still working on it.
That's okay.
No, tell your friends or yourself to do
Jen has
it.
that information on it. Okay. All right, thank you for that. Action. Did you want me to roll into public hearing, or did you want to make a presentation first? Because sometimes I get ahead of you on that.
I think that you could roll into public hearing,
Okay.
because this document has been available for public review since we posted,
Mhm.
and nobody's come to look for it. But we've got one member of the public here tonight, so I think you can go into public hearing
Okay.
and then write out,
All
unless
right.
this public has something to ask us. Okay.
Public / staff. Okay. S/STA. Okay. All right, well, then let's do that. Then let's have a motion to go into public hearing, please.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Noes, abstentions, motion carries 401. Public hearing pursuant to Government Code Section 3547.5. Public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement, AB 1200, statutes 1991, chapter 1213 for public comment. Major provisions of the tenant agreement dated February 8th with a certificated bargaining agreement. Is there anyone that would like to make comment from the public? I'm looking at you. No. Okay.
We could
Oh,
pay
wait,
for the
I forgot.
resume.
Wait, no, we can't wait. Okay, now we're in public hearing. Now you, nothing? Okay. We're done. Motion to adjourn to public hearing, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstentions, the motion carries 401. We get to do this again, right now. Major provisions of the tenant agreement dated February 8th. Oh, no.
This is the actual 80-1200.
Right, okay.
This is the document.
Yeah, we need to take action on that.
Yes.
Okay. I would love to have a motion on that, please.
Yeah, move to approve.
And I'll second.
Yes, okay, thank you for that. Any discussion for members? No? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 401. Motion to adjourn public hearing. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor, please say aye. Motion carries 401. Oh, we're,
This is
Adjourn.
for the classified
okay,
80-1200.
same deal. Okay. Nothing there. Need a motion to adjourn the public hearing twice, back to back.
Well, we're in the public hearing for each certificated bargaining units, 80-1200.
Yep. So I need a motion to adjourn from that public hearing as well.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Motion carries 401. Okay, now we need to approve the tentative agreement with CSEA. Need a motion for that, please?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, board members? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. Motion carries 401. Budget revision, resolution hashtag 20-21/13. Budget revision. Do you want to make a presentation? You want to go ahead and roll into this?
This is the resolution that, or this is the budget transfer that just covers all the transactional changes based on the 80-1200s that you approved previously. And thank you for your patience in going through all of those public hearing requirements.
No worries.
It's,
Awkward.
well, yeah, but, you know, Richmond or Rockland or whatever that district was that went bankrupt.
Yep.
That's what this is all about, to show the public that we're not making deals with the bargaining units that we cannot afford.
We're not going to talk about King City because they're too close. Wait, are we still live? All right. All right. Okay. This is going to have to be roll call vote, but we need a motion first.
I move to approve.
I second.
We moved in second, the roll call vote. Chris is not here. Jen? Jen's an aye. I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Stephanie's an aye. Michael?
I'm an aye.
Michael's an aye. Motion carries 401. That'll be the order of the day. Public Sunshine with STA. We need to motion into public hearing for that, please.
So moved.
I second.
Been moved in second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 401. Public hearing regarding sunshining negotiations with STA. Anyone have any comments? Seeing none? Motion to adjourn for public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 401. Thank you. And then we also need a motion to consider what the district would like to sunshine with STA. I need a motion for that, please.
I move to approve.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion from board members regarding upcoming negotiations with SBA? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 401. Curriculum and instruction. Plan for providing educational services for expelled students.
Yeah, this is a plan that comes every 3 years. The good news is we haven't expelled a student, I think, since 2008.
Something like that.
Yeah, but just in case it happens, we need to have a plan. And being a small school, usually that's the alternative education. And being a small school district, we don't have those programs internally, so we work in partnership with the MCOE in their alternative education department. So this kind of spells out the different levels of expulsion. Years and years ago, there was the decision to suspend expulsion, which means the person is typically expelled and allow them back in school, provided they go to counseling, do some things. Then it goes through the spectrum of what you're, as a board, if expulsion happens, you are the jury, basically. And hopefully it's not going to happen. Our kids are wonderful. But if perhaps we need to go that route, it talks about different community schools that we could offer to the family and support them. Any questions about it? I've already kind of run this by the county people to make sure that we have the components and they give us their rule. It's a plan that we hope to never use. And there's a few of those.
Questions, anybody? Okay. Moving on. Personnel, we have nothing. Administration, committee updates.
We've already had facilities in LCAP. We met and you are great.
Thank you. Williams report.
This is the quarter from January to March of 2021, and we have 0 complaints under textbooks, teacher vacancies or misassignments, or facility conditions.
Okay, thank
0
you.
complaints.
Thank you for that. Action. Final read, December 2020 policies per guide sheet. I'd love to entertain a motion on that.
I move to approve.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion, board members? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Motion carries 401. Final read of the calendar for next school year and instructional minutes and bell schedules. Let's get a motion first and then we'll discuss it.
I move to approve.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this or
This
presentation?
is what we saw last month. Yeah, very similar to last year or before.
Any questions on this, folks, for next school year schedule?
Well, yeah. So summer school would fit in the July area?
We're having conversations about that.
Okay.
And so perhaps, we're looking at 2 options. One would be the traditional right after school ends, but there seems to be so far more support for doing something like mid-July, mid-August. So kind of replace it with more like front loading for the year. It's not punitive because nobody wants to tie anything to COVID. We're going to kick it off, especially with those kids that need it. So right now we're just working with the teachers especially because we want to recruit our own to do it, assessing the duties, right? So kind of figure out the best way we can recruit and compensate them to get them on board.
Thank you.
Anything else, anyone? Stephanie, Michael? Okay. Well, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 401. Scheduling special school, my goodness, I haven't had supper. All right, schedule a special sport meeting for the E-log, which we talked about earlier. Do we need to do that tonight?
Put it on the calendar, I would say.
Yes. Yes and no. we think that we can, I think we are, let's just commit to having it by,
5 weeks, long
I
time.
think so.
Got
We
it.
would like to,
It'll be here.
we would like that motion to not move forward.
Want to just table it indefinitely?
But the late mayor, we're gonna use that for the first, for the LCAP.
The second one is for the budget. The
Okay, sorry.
second special would be in June.
Okay. I'm thinking the same date for a different reason then, right?
Yes.
So regarding number 3, we don't need it. We think you're going to be good for our next regular meeting.
Correct.
But it's on the agenda, so we need to do something with it. My recommendation, if someone wants to make the motion, is to table this. Just table it. You don't have to give a date. And it just sits there in perpetuity and we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, I move to table this.
And I say,
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion, folks? We just put them in a 5-week box. So.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries to table 1. Schedule special board meeting for LCAP. We do need to do this. There's a 2-meeting swing on the budget. LCAP. So, any suggestions from staff on a good day?
Yeah, this is when we were thinking about, if we happen, we're not gonna need it since 5 weeks from now, we'll see a plan. But if we do it in late May,
May 27th.
May 27th, it could serve 2 purposes, just in case. So that could be our first public hearing for the LCAP. And then we just approve it in our first meeting in June, not need a late June one this year. And if for some reason in 5 weeks we find out that we still have that late May one for the ELOG, just in case.
Okay, so you're suggesting May 27th, particular time?
Whatever works for the board.
7 p.m. for regular.
Do it at a regular time.
This would be a quick meeting in
Early,
theory.
we can do a special.
So special one agenda item.
Can we keep 6:30?
6:30 would be fine.
Okay.
Can we please keep 6:30?
Whatever you guys
It's
want
up
to
to
do.
us, really, but we want to make sure staff is committed. So I guess the motion would be for someone to make it, would be to schedule this special meeting for the LCAP. Public hearing, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, public hearing on the LCAP, to be May 27th at 6:30. If someone could make that motion, please.
Yeah, I move to schedule the special board meeting on May 27th at 6:30 p.m.
and I second.
Been moved and seconded. I assume there's no discussion. We're all good there. All those in favor, please say aye. Motion carries. Abstention, opposed, abstentions, none. Motion carries 4-1. We're at consent. Does anyone want to pull anything from consent for any reason? Now's your opportunity. Seeing none, I would love to entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I'm so moved.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion carries 4-1. Future agenda items, I know Jen, you want to add something, and Stephanie as well. Okay.
Oh, through me, yeah. So,
Yeah.
do you want to go first, Jen, or you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
So Stephanie shared a CSBA with the organization you belong to, a sample resolution which many districts are choosing to adopt. Basically, it's a resolution supporting people of Asian ancestry, condemning harassment, violence, and hatred towards people of Asian descent. So just be board and state you're supporting this. It's endorsed by CSBA. You can put it on the agenda. We have a conversation next month about it if you like it on the agenda, and you have whatever you'd like to do. Just Stephanie shared it with me. I'm sharing it to see if you'd like it on the agenda.
Anything like this, for me, you have me at hello.
Okay.
You've known that for years.
Yeah.
Although historically, this board has not been an activist board.
Yeah, so this is
So-
something
so-
that's very personal to me because my
Yeah.
girls are Asian, they're half Asian, and so I have been very nervous about going back. Yeah, so I'll start crying. This is really hard for me, so I would love if we could please talk about this.
Sure. Yeah, and so if the board wants to start taking on an activist flavor to our discussions, I'm very open to that personally as one board member, but I'm one board member. I can't speak for everyone else, but absolutely, I'm okay with putting this on the agenda.
Glad to
Two,
hear it.
I'm totally on board. Okay. And
So,
summer school?
Summer school.
And summer school things.
Bridging programs, we'll bring back an item called bridging program. That work?
Oh,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, folks, for future agenda items? It's already a pretty good, healthy list, but we can certainly add to it. Okay. Seeing none, I just need someone to make a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries 401. We're all done. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks, for joining us.
So nice to meet you.
Take care, and looking forward to reopening this week.